comments were swift and strong. Some said the unusually personal remarks were brave and showed leadership. Others calling the remarks divisive and fanning the racial flames. So let's bring in political science professor Jason Johnson, get his take. Jason, always great to see you. Let's go to those people that were saying, listen, this is a time for the president to bring us together. And he made reference to some of the ways that African Americans feel like you can't understand because you're not in this community.
Right.
Should he have been bringing people together, or is he making a solid point?
I actually think that's bringing people together. You know, the problem is we have all too many people in this country who think any discussion of race is inconvenient and somehow fanning racial flames. What Obama was doing is essentially building a bridge. He was saying, look, this is how people feel. I am speaking for those people whose voices don't often get heard by someone at my particular level. So I actually think it was beneficial. There are those who aren't going to hear it regardless, but I still think it was beneficial.
What about the timing? Do you think the timing was interesting?
I think
Did
the
he wait
timing
until
was
Friday?
perfect. It was absolutely perfect because this is a day before there's going to be marches and protests in 100 cities. I think it was the perfect time for Obama to say something. People can digest it over the weekend. If he said it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right after this verdict, it was going to have a week to be picked apart. This way, I think people heard it for what it was.
Real quick, the Zimmerman defense came out right away with comments. They responded. They said, we acknowledge the racial context in this case. But if you look at the facts, this was a clear case of self-defense. The jury found that as well.
Right. I thought that was an absolutely lawyerly response because look, they're saying, yes, these things happen, but this isn't an instance where it happens, which is what I would expect from George Zimmerman's legal team. And I think, you know, I thought they were very polite and very candid, and they said, look, you know, if the president wants to have this conversation, we'd love to participate as well. Everyone said exactly what they were supposed to say.
What about the stand your ground law? The president really went out there and said these laws probably need to change. They need to be looked at.
Right.
If the roles were reversed with Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman, the outcome may have been different. Is it a risk to go out there and be so vocal on a state and local issue as far as the law goes?
Not really, because I think it's sort of an extension of Obama talking about gun control, and it's also a crime issue. Now, again, as a political science professor, I don't like it when the president steps too heavily into local state issues. But if this is a national concern and it has to do with guns, he can say, look, I think this needs to be reviewed. It's not the same thing as him passing an executive order and saying you can't do it anymore.
Real quick, within the black community, does everyone agree that they thought it was a good idea? I mean, you think that this was a universal, the community felt like it was smart for the president to do this?
Well, no, because there's lots of different opinions in the black community, and some people think it was great, some people think it was terrible, some people don't think it was too much, some people think it was too much too late. As far as I'm concerned, I think any time that the president of the United States decides to speak candidly about race, which is something he really hasn't done for most of his time in office, I think that's a good thing for the country.
All right, Jason Johnson, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, the Zimmerman jurors didn't just sit around.